What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream, and happy Friday, people. The final Friday of the Premier League season, the last weekend of the Premier League for this season, and then we'll have a break, and it will be, the Euros, the Copa America, and then pre-season, and we go again, people. It's been a long season, and listen, as much as it doesn't feel like it's going to happen, there is the potential for a miracle to happen on Sunday, Antonio, Jared Bowen and Paqueta, but hey, it is what it is. Listen, new merch, people, new merch. Big up to everyone who tuned in yesterday. I had the review of the new kit. And I get it, yeah, man, they have disappointed, but the kit's nice, it's decent. And yeah, we get this. We're ready for summer. I'm about to book the holidays. It's nice to go on holiday with the new kit and all of that business. So if you haven't already... check the review that I did yesterday where I went into a little bit more detail. I'll be honest, how much can you really do to the home kit? There's only so much you can do. You can change the colours a little bit and this, that, the other. Listen, it's all right. It's a solid home kit. Yeah, the Adidas logo is quite big, isn't it? Yeah, I only just realised that. It looks massive. Big C funding Mbappe, bro. The only Mbappe we'll be signing is his brother, who plays for the reserve team. Safa said 1 club level tickets for Sunday through work. That's decent. Let's hope you win something. Let's hope Arsenal win something, should I say, now that you've won them tickets. Holidays aren't booked yet, bro, but I need to switch off from Arsenal. I'm not going to lie. I would rather have Tony than Sesko. I'll probably agree with that as well. Looks decent, but not for me. Looking forward to the other kits and the training kits. I always say to people who buy merch, get the training kits, because the training kits are timeless. What happens with the shirts, I don't know if anybody else is like this, but I don't really wear shirts from other seasons unless they're classics from back in the day. Like, the black shirt that came out a couple of years ago, I hardly ever wear that shirt. I wear it in the gym sometimes, or if I'm cutting the grass or something, because you feel like the shirt's out of date now. I don't want to wear it. I've got to wear the new shirt. So I always say you're better off buying... You're better off buying the training kit, that is for sure. But listen, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who supported the channel this season and obviously beyond this season as we draw to a close with the final watch-along of the season on Sunday. I will be doing the FA Cup final and the Champions League final watch-along as well. And we'll still be doing transfer content and that. And I am doing a boxing watch-along, the first one on this channel, on Saturday night for Fury Usyk. So I got to get, my commentary's got to be a little bit more hyped for that. So I'm looking forward to that. And obviously I'll be going on the tour as well. And so there'll be lots of content going off over the summer. So make sure you keep it locked. Subscribe if you haven't already. Just quickly, I thought this was quite interesting. The last 4 kits that have come out with Adidas, What is your personal favourite of these 4 kits? I actually really love the kit that we had this season. The only thing I didn't like with this season's kit was that the neck is a little bit flimsy, innit? The collar's a bit flimsy on this season's one. I did like the gold and the sort of bruised banana pattern. I just thought the gold, we were going to win the league, invincible business. But it didn't quite work out like that. Well, unless something crazy happens... over the weekend. So yeah, I did like this season's kit. I was very hyped when I saw that the gold on it. But yeah, obviously this season's is a lot more blue, a lot more white on the sleeves. And they've gone with the Adidas badge does look a bit bigger. And they've gone with the cannon, the original cannon. This is to commemorate 89. So they're not using the original Arsenal badge. And then you've got 22, 23. I did like this kit. I just didn't like the collar with the button on it. A bit old school. I feel like I've grown out of them. I don't like that now. But I did like the kit. It was a classic kit. And then obviously you've got the 21-22 kit, which again had the blue. So every now and then they do bring the blue. And as you can see from the badge, Arsenal do have blue, on the outside of the badge. So it is part of the Arsenal sort of look to have blue on the kit. So listen, for me, as I always said, I even said it in the kit review that I'm just at the point with the kits now, win a trophy in them, and then I'll look back on them with fondness. If we don't win anything, they don't mean that much to me. I'm going to be honest. I know that sounds really harsh. When I look through my wardrobe, the kits where Arsenal won trophies mean the most to me. So that's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, the kit is out. People saying, yeah, I'm advertising the kit. I'm helping the Cronkays. I'm trying to encourage the Cronkays to go and spend, 300 million this summer. So a couple kits, couple training kits, it might help them a little bit. Big C, I remember 2021, 22, rip it. Yeah, that was the one I ripped, actually, wasn't it? Callum Wilson's tooth hanging out was the final straw for me, people. It's been a crazy week. It's been an absolutely crazy week as an Arsenal fan. With the Tottenham game. Tottenham game was the most stressful game of the last couple of weeks. But as I said, people, and I did put out a tweet yesterday. I had a few discussions on Twitter yesterday, a lot calmer than usual. But I said, look, I blamed Son for Arsenal not winning the title midweek, but ultimately we have to look in the mirror. It's our own fault. That clip of me reacting to Son's miss got nearly 5 million views on social media this week, which is crazy. The meltdown was nuts, but at the time, my head was gone. I couldn't believe it. But listen, if you've got to rely on Tottenham to bring you some form of success, then you've done something wrong, because Tottenham are not going to deliver you a trophy. They don't even read their own trophy, so they don't even deliver their own trophy, should I say. So, we relying on Tottenham to do anything was always going to be a mistake. So, TRN said, big up Mr. Shaw. I hope you can read up my first message for the first time. I've been reflecting on Arsenal history. Arsenal is a big club, but we're not successful enough at all. Mate, if you put that on Twitter, they would go absolutely mental. But I've said this for a long time. People don't like this discussion. It makes people feel uncomfortable and people think I'm being disrespectful. Arsenal are the third biggest club in English football. So that's just a fact, really. Depending on what you base it on, you would say Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal. We don't win enough trophies, and we haven't done for 20 years. It's the reality of the situation. I even think this man, who for me is the best manager I've ever seen at Arsenal, I don't think he won as many trophies as he should have. To win 3 Premier Leagues with that team, not good enough. Didn't win a Champions League, only got to 1 final. Now, I always say that the fan base is the blood of any football club. They keep the football club flowing. Managers leave, players leave, sporting directors leave. The fans have to drive the football club in the right direction and apply pressure where needed. Owners will do what they know they can get away with. If they know that second will be accepted and celebrated by everyone, they will do just enough to get you second place again. We have to drive this club forward. Whether you think Arteta should go this summer or next summer or wherever you're at with Mikel Arteta as a fan, we all have to drive this football club now and say, listen, second last year, I didn't really expect you to be in a title race, but you got there. In the end, we were very disappointed we didn't win it. 230 million spent this summer. I expected a title race this summer. And you've delivered on that. But the disappointing thing is we had it in our hands. If we'd have beaten Villa, we'd be champions. But we're not. Who knows what's going to happen this weekend? The mindset has to be now, you finishing second now is not enough. It's not. You've got to win trophies. I keep saying it. I've tweeted it, and some people don't agree with it. I am not a snob when it comes to Carabao Cups and FA Cups. I want this football club to win trophies because success breeds more success. It breeds more success. You win that, then you can win that, and you learn how to win. So, listen, Arteta's going to be here next season. So the conversation about whether you want him out or not, it's kind of irrelevant. Even with me, I'm at the point where it's like, well, what's the point me saying he ain't going nowhere? In fact, he'll probably sign a new deal. I want to see this football club now demand trophies, demand success. Don't pat people on the back for finishing second. We're not a mid-table club. We're the third biggest club in this country. So, listen, and I know Man City are here, and people always say, Man City are here, Pep's here. But as I said, Wenger won trophies with Ferguson here. Mourinho won trophies with Ferguson here. Klopp's won trophies with Pep here. So we have to have that same mentality. We can't live in the shadows of our Pep's here. We can't achieve nothing. We have to go for it this summer. And we got to go big. I don't want to see shortcuts taken. Kenny Fan TV, big up Big C. The collaboration is pending. Let me know whenever convenient. Yeah, let me know, bro. Drop me an email or message. We'll sort something. Alberto said, Spurs fans should be ashamed to be happy with losing. Curtis, I would have preferred you to rip the Puma kit. I don't think I actually had the channel when we were Puma kitting. I don't think I did. Puma kit times, maybe. No, Bamiyang, Adidas. I'm not sure, you know. Some of them Puma kits were disgusting. Honestly, that was a dark period as an Arsenal fan. Wearing them skin-tight Puma kits, man, with some wild patterns. They were so bad. So bad. Anyway, listen, we've got a few things to talk about. In fact, lots to talk about. Busy weekend ahead. And listen, anything can happen at the end of the day. Do I expect it to happen? No. But we're all hoping. We're all going to be, you know, praying that Jared Bowen scores a hat-trick or, you know, something crazy happens. Stranger things have happened, let's put it that way. But it's very unlikely, but we'll be there. I'll be multi-screening on Sunday, so I'll have the Man City game on, I'll have the Arsenal game on. Couple of things to talk about, and then, Chris said I don't own a single Puma kit. I gave a lot of them away, charity kits. I put them in a bin liner and gave them to the charity shop. They are dreadful. Anyway, people, it's over. It is over. Petrol Station Cedric and Mohamed El Neni. El Neni's like the immovable object that you just never thought you'd get rid of. You know, like in your kitchen cupboards, you've got food in there that you've had in there for like 2 or 3 years. You're like, yo, I didn't even realize I still had that tin of like, I don't know, gravy or something in the back that you bought it and never used it. That is the equivalent of El Neni. El Neni is a tin in your kitchen cupboard that you bought years ago that you thought you was going to use, but you never got round to using. Now it's out of date, but you've only just checked it's still there. How this man has survived at Arsenal Football Club, I will never, ever know. Simply, he smiles a lot. He trains well. He probably puts the cones away and fills up the water bottles, and he survived years at this football club. You can't knock the hustle, I suppose. And Cedric, petrol station Cedric. Bumped into him in the petrol station. Seemed to be a cool guy, but listen, mate, you're going to need to go back to that petrol station, fill up your tank, and get yourself to Bournemouth or wherever you're going to be next season, mate, because that one needs to end as well. Because, again, I've got 2 words when it comes to Cedric. Brown envelopes. I said it to this day. How did a guy that was getting released by Southampton get a 4-year contract on £75,000 a week? But anyway, we're at the end, people. Fabrizio Romano has tweeted, Cedric Suarez and Mo El Neni will both say goodbye to Arsenal fans this weekend. It's over, as both players will leave Arsenal as free agents. Hallelujah! Praise the Lord! Yes! There's a few more. We need a few more. You know, you buy Cedric, you get Nketiah free. I said, you buy El Neni, you get Cedric free. You know, we need a couple of them buy one, get one frees here, people. But listen, I know people who say, you're being disrespectful. They've been good servants. Nah, I'm ruthless on here, people. I'm not on none of that. Yeah, these man need to leave and should have left a long time ago. I need Nketiah out of here. I need, Cedric and El Neni. I wouldn't mind Zinchenko going as well. There's a number of players that I want to see leave the football club this season. I'm not here for... This ain't no sympathy. I don't want to hear, oh, he got a new contract because he trains well. I'm not interested. They said Hazard was the worst trainer at Chelsea. Guess what? On match day, he was their best player. I don't care if they train well. Do you play well on Saturday and Sunday? If not, then go on about your business. I'm not interested in how well they train. Cedric, El Neni. Cedric, 75 grand a week. El Neni, 50 grand a week. Do you know what will be interesting? Is what level they go to be honest. You saw with Rob Holding, and the narrative for years was, oh, Rob Holding's a good squad player. No, he isn't, mate. He's garbage. Now he's at Palace, can't get a kick. He'll probably end up at Sheffield United in the Championship. Listen, you're right, Nick. It's another 2 players that we don't get a penny for. Now, listen, they're not worth a lot. But in reality, the question I would always ask is, why did you not sell these 2 last season? I think Arsenal need to get out of this habit of allowing players to run down their contracts. Even if you don't look at it as a big deal, Cedric and El Neni should be bringing you in 5-6 million quid. Now, it doesn't do a lot in the context of things, but when you go through the list and think Ramsey, Ozil, Aubameyang, and the list goes on, Mustafi, Kolasinac, Socrates, all of these guys walked out of the door for free. Some of them we actually paid them to leave. So it is something we need to fix. With a year left, surely you look at Cedric with a year left and just say, listen, I'll take 2 million for him. Just get him out the door. But listen, at least they're off the books. We save a little bit of wages and them two are over. We need to stop handing out sympathy contracts. Rory's bang on Sympathy FC. You never see Pep do things like that. You just don't see it. You know, this guy put on tears when Aguero left, but he let Aguero go. Marco said, saw someone on Twitter comparing Eddie Nketiah to Gnabry. Listen, Twitter, I can't believe Twitter's free in 2024. They should charge us for Twitter because some of the stuff on there is unbelievable. It shouldn't be free. Eddie Nketiah's like Gnabry. I mean, I have no words, Marco. I have no words. I told you, if you want to build a big social media following on Twitter, I can give you the blueprint. If there's anyone right now that thinks, you know what, I wouldn't mind having a big Twitter channel, and you're an Arsenal fan, go on Twitter, call your channel Arsenal something or AFC something, right? Praise every player at the club, even if you don't believe it. Just say Nketiah's brilliant and say all that. And anytime news comes out from Fabrizio or someone, tweet it as if you're tweeting it. And then just at the end of the tweet, just put at Fabrizio Romano. Photoshop pictures of players that we're linked with. Tweet them as well. I'm telling you, you'll have 50k in about 3 months. Honestly, you'll have 50k in 3 months. And you'll be flying, absolutely flying. It's so easy. It's so easy to build an Arsenal platform. Just rate everyone, rave about the players, rave about the manager. You'll have 50k within no time. There's plenty of people that follow that blueprint. As you can imagine, I don't follow that blueprint, which is why usually on Twitter I'm arguing with someone. But hey, it's what it is. Anyway, let's move on, people. Let's move on. Yeah, new kit business, man. I'm trying to help Arsenal sign some top players, man. Holiday season's approaching, man. It's always nice to have your new kit on holiday, you know. Dr. Barron, Michael Edwards would have worked wonders. Brilliant. He's one of the best in the world at his job. He really is. I saw a report the other day that Klopp wanted Gelson Martins. Do you remember Gelson Martins, Portuguese guy? 99 pace on FIFA back in the day. Klopp wanted Gelson Martins. Michael Edwards wanted Mo Salah. Imagine if Klopp would have got his way. Mo Salah, one of the best players you've probably ever seen play for Liverpool in terms of numbers. This guy wanted Gelson Martins. Michael Edwards, this is the guy that got 20 million for Ryan Brewster. You know what I mean? And players like that. He's unbelievable. I wish we could have got him. Don said, I've ordered my new kit. Hey, just embrace it. I get it. Even in the comments yesterday, there was a lot of people saying, I can't buy it. Title's gone. I said, listen, just let your guard down. You're doing it for the right reasons. It's fresh. It looks nice. You'll be happy on holiday. Just do it, people. Get it done early. Summer's approaching. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk Saliba. Saliba has been named in France's 25-man squad for Euro 2024. Congratulations to him. Listen, forget the squad. Donny should be in your starting 11. Deschamps needs to stop with all that madness that he's been talking. All that Upamecano capping that he's been doing. He needs to drop that, because if you've seen Upamecano this season, he has stunk out the joint at Bayern Munich. He was getting booed by their fans. He's been sent off. They dropped him. They finished the season with De Ligt and Eric Dyer. So how is Deschamps going to justify Upamecano over Saliba now? You just play Saliba and Konate. It's as simple as that. Konate is the aggressive beast, and Saliba is the Rolls Royce who sweeps. It's an absolute monster centre-back pairing. It's funny, with Arsenal players, sometimes I'm a little bit conflicting with my feeling. On one hand, I'm like, I want Saliba to go there and play and thrive in the French team. But then Arsenal PTSD sort of in the back of the mind of every Arsenal fan says, but if he goes to the Euros as a Stormer and they win it, he ends up on the Real Madrid hit list. And then that concerns me. So, we've all been there, people. We've been there. I used to say, I want Alexis to play amazing for Chile. Next minute, Man City want him, and then he ends up going to Man United. So, but yeah, I hope Saliba has a good tournament. This summer could make life very difficult for Arsenal at the start of next season. I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Nando said, also ask Dan Potts and Judges a question. One ask you the same. 200 million plus players for sale. Let's say 300 million. Who would you get? If Arsenal had 300 million, and we've got to be realistic. There's no point me saying, I want Mbappe. It's not happening. We've got to get... starting from the defense, we're going to need a second choice keeper. That doesn't need to be anyone amazing. So, second choice keeper. I think we need a left back. What left back would I actually go for? I'll have to have a think about that. The left back, I'll have to have a think. We need a centre mid. Centre mid, I would get Fofana from Monaco. You'd get him for 40 million as well. I love Barella, but he wouldn't leave Inter. They've just won the league. We need a striker, in my opinion. I know a lot of people think they'd go for a big left winger rather than a striker, but I would go for a striker. Alphonso Davies, I think, will go to Real Madrid next season. Theo Hernandez, now that is a fantastic shout. I would take him. He's a brilliant defender. That Harto guy or Hato we've been linked with, he looks good as well. I like Grimaldo as well. He's looked very good for Leverkusen, but more of a left wing back. And Cliffo's just said it. We need a striker, and I'm going to talk about Sesko in a minute. But Sesko is not the one for me personally. I want to see a proven goal scorer. I don't want a project striker coming to Arsenal. I would love to see somebody that I have genuine belief is going to score 20 goals. So whether that's Isak, whether that's Gyökeres, whether that's Osimhen, whether that's Ivan Toney, I want a striker that I believe is going to score 20. Sesko, I have no real feeling around whether that guy can come and score 20 goals. I think it's a project signing. I would like a right winger. Whether that was Elise, I would have took Neto, but the injuries put me off him. For me, I don't think we need a lot. I think we need one or two quality centre mids. Maybe you get a centre mid and an attacking mid. So I'd love to see Eze coming. Or Xavi Simons, right? Because I think we lack creativity. And I think if Odegaard got injured, we'd have a real problem. Right? And I did, Aston, you're right. I did say the same about Isak. Isak wasn't prolific in Spain. He's come to the Premier, looks the real deal. But at least there was maturity in his game. I think Sesko looks very raw. And I think he'll take a couple of years before he became a top striker. I'm just bored of waiting for Arsenal to get to where they need to get to. I want us to do it this season coming up. I don't want to get a striker that in 2 years could be elite. Because then we got to go through 2 years and who knows what happens in that time. So for me, get Eze or Xavi Simons, creative midfield. Get me Elise or Leroy Sané or someone like that on the right. Get me a centre mid like Fofana or Bruno Guimaraes or somebody like that. I do have doubts about Bruno at Newcastle, whether he's an £80 million midfielder. Maybe Timber plays at left back. We could do with a cover at centre back. Because realistically, if you lost Saliba or Gabriel, you're playing Kivior. I'd go and get Diamande from Sporting Lisbon. So, for me, second choice keeper. Diamande costs you 50 million. Get Fofana for 40 million. So that's what, 90. Let's say the keeper costs you 10. That's 100. Get Eze for 60 million, 160. Get a right winger for 60 as well. That's 220. Then spend 80 on a striker. There's your 300 million. But yeah. Yeah, you know it doesn't work like that, I suppose. Paddy said, back Mikel, one of our own. We are lucky to have him. Paddy, I mean, I don't want to get into a slanging match with Mikel Arteta. My thing is, every time we're playing, that team has my full support for 90 minutes. I may say things critical or praise, but that team, that manager has my full support for 90 plus minutes. What I say after the game is my feeling and my opinion. At the end of the day, as fans, we're a reflection of the club and what they produce. If we win titles, win trophies and are successful, you don't need to be critical in any way whatsoever. Even though I think we've had a very progressive season and we've broken records and we've scored more goals, conceded less. Ultimately, unless Sunday something crazy happens, we won't be lifting silverware. So even though we've made progress, there hasn't been success at the end of the season. So while saying he's done well, and I appreciate that, we've still got to say, well, how come we're doing that well but still not lifting trophies? So I think you've just got to have that balance in the middle. Appreciate him, that's fine, but we want to see success. Guna Carlos, so options, protest the Kroenke, so my club get better, don't buy the jersey. I'm going to Philly for Arsenal v Liverpool, screw it. Need the jersey for style. Listen, you probably couldn't get any sort of heat towards the ownership at the moment because most of the fan base are happy with them. So I still have doubts about the ownership. They have improved since taking full control, but I still don't know how desperate they are to win. Nando said, I see you wearing the shirt. How does it feel? It's nice. It is nice. I can't lie. It feels decent. How fearful are you of Chelsea next season? I think they'll get closer. I think they'll get close. They finished the season well, but I'm more, like I say, I'm more concerned with Arsenal. You know, we defeat ourselves sometimes. Marco said, I can't like it. It's going to be another transfer window where we stick with players in certain positions, don't make improvements. The problem you've got sometimes with Arsenal, and this is a problem we've had beyond Mikel Arteta. When we have a good team, you don't often see our management sign somebody big in that position to put pressure on them. It hasn't happened for a long time. So, for example, I don't think Arsenal would spend big money on a right winger this summer because their argument would be we've got Saka. So any right winger we go for, I think would be a cheaper option, somebody that's just willing to play backup. Now, the thing that's concerning me at the moment is we were being linked with Osimhen and Gyökeres and Isak, and now that Havertz has hit a decent end to the season, it now seems as if we're going to go for a cheaper striker because they don't want to disrupt Havertz. And there is a feeling and an argument. Some people are saying, well, Havertz got 12 goals and he only played half a season up front. Could he score 20 goals if he played the full season up front? And listen, I'm open-minded about that question. I just still don't know whether Havertz has that killer instinct in a tight game. Liverpool home and away, he didn't score. City home and away, he didn't score. Porto home and away, he didn't score. Bayern Munich home and away, he didn't score. So, yeah, I think he can produce numbers playing up front, and I do think his link-up play is good. But in those tight games, is he the difference maker? You saw Man City the other night against Tottenham. They actually didn't play that well, but when you've got a world-class striker, he can get you out of a situation where you're not playing that well. I just don't know if Havertz has that clutch mentality about him to say, listen, 0-0 against a big team, I'll win you the game. I don't think he has that. He's not a natural goal scorer, but we'll see. We will see. It will be interesting. Anyway, let's talk transfers, and then we've got waffle settings and things like that round the corner as well. Final waffle settings, well, pre-match waffle settings of the season. TV1 said, Curtis, for me, Declan Rice is the new standard of signing. Ready-made, proven, hungry, and coming into his prime years. I don't think... You're spot on. Declan Rice ticked every box. Plays for his country. Premier League experience. Although that doesn't always matter, but proven. Proven played. Won a trophy. He was just ready to go to that next level. And they're the signings we need. You knew as fans when Alexis Sanchez signed for Arsenal, you knew what was going to happen. And it doesn't always happen. You know, Shevchenko went to Chelsea and flopped, and Chevy was one of the best strikers in the world. But when Alexis Sanchez signed for Arsenal, I said it's go time. I've watched this guy for Barcelona. There's no way he fails. When we signed Aubameyang, I said, this guy's going to rip the Premier League apart. He's so quick. He's got Ozil feeding him. He's going to be a hit. When we signed Mesut Ozil, we knew what time it was. That's why all them people was at the Emirates going mad. He was one of, if not the best creative footballer in the world. When we signed Declan Rice, even though he's been even better than I thought he was, we all knew he's going to be a good signing at Arsenal. We just knew, like, he's ready for it. I don't want Arsenal to sign players this summer where you go, well, I ain't seen that much of him. I don't really know. Maybe in 2 years. I don't want that. I want somebody to say, yo, I've watched him. He's a bad man. Get him to the club. He's going to take us to the next level. When City signed Haaland, you knew what was going to happen. You just knew already. They create too many chances. It can't fail. That's what Arsenal have to understand now. We're elevating. We're not where we were 2 years ago when Vlahovic was ignoring our calls, treating us like the side piece at 3 a.m. We're not that club anymore. We're not the coleslaw and the bread at the restaurant. We're the main dish, bro. We can sign top quality players this summer. Top quality. A lot of people saying Arsenal can't get Isak. I think if Arsenal were ambitious enough towards Isak, they could unnerve him in his situation. You've got to make Isak feel like, bro, you're wasting your time at Newcastle. Why would you sign a new contract there? They're not even going to be in Europe, probably. Or they might be in the Conference League. Come to Arsenal, double your wages, play in the Champions League. Your profile goes to the next level. You've got to move players out of clubs sometimes. So, yeah, we're the Gold State, man. We're better, you know. So let's not have that mentality that we can't sign world-class players. We can. We can, or we can sign somebody that can become world-class. Because let's be honest, when we signed Rice, he wasn't world-class. Some people would say he is now or is close. Fitz said we need 3 more Rice-like signings this summer. This is what a big club would do. Yeah, it's probably not enough to sign one Declan Rice every summer. You need 2 of them in one season. Maybe 3 of them. You saw that year when Liverpool signed Van Dijk and Alisson. It was a game changer. Because Liverpool were great going forward, they still conceded silly goals. You saw their goalkeeper in the Champions League final, who cost them against Real Madrid that time. And then they went and got Alisson and Van Dijk, and that was it. Game over. Champions League winners. So you're right, Fitz. Big up Fitz in the chat. Anyway, let's talk transfers. We got a lot to talk about today, people. Let's talk about this guy, Benjamin Sesko. I've got to admit, Karius, that was it. I've got to admit, for the last 2 days, I've been trying to watch a lot of this guy. I've watched him a few times because I knew we've been linked with him, and I like watching Leipzig because of Xavi Simons. I think he's a fantastic player. He's in the background of this picture. There's a lot of articles going around at the moment saying this is the one we're going for. I'll be honest, I have doubts. But I'm more than willing to be proven wrong. And if we do sign him, I hope I am proven wrong. I reckon there's people in the comments who have watched him more than me. So if you guys know a lot more about him, feel free to write a comment. Give me a bit of a description of how you think he plays and how he would fit into the team. Now, he's 6'4", although some websites say he's 6'5", but he's massive anyway. He looks quite mobile for a big man. His hold-up's quite good. He's not bad in the air. I don't want to overly judge him based upon his stats because like a lot of you said, when we were linked with Isak, I said he's not prolific enough, and now we're saying buy him for 100 mil. He's 20 years of age, got 13 goals this season, 2 assists in 30 games, got 2 goals in 8 Champions League games, 2 goals in 2 cup games. So he's got, 17 goals in 41 games. So, I mean, they're not stats that are going to wow you, that is for sure. Let me know what you think about him and what you know about him. I'm hoping some of you guys can teach me a little bit about him in the comments, because I am not going to pretend to be an expert on this guy. I'm not. I agree with you, Kenny. I think he's a project player. My worry with this is we're dealing with Pep. We're dealing with Pep. Now, Pep's talking about Musiala. They're being linked with Florian Wirtz. They're being linked with Kimmich. I think Pep's going to go crazy this summer. I've said it so many times. Pep will be devastated if Real Madrid win that Champions League. And on top of that, they win the Champions League and then drop Mbappe into that team. You think Pep's going to have a window like he had last year, signing Nunez and Doku, signing young projects? He's going to go crazy this summer. I'm telling you now. I'm putting the warning out there now. Pep ain't ramping this summer. Trust me, he's going to sign monsters. Is it enough for Arsenal to sign a project striker of 20 years of age who might take a year, 2 years to develop in the league? Now, don't get me wrong. He could come to the Prem, hit the ground running, 20 goals. I'm sitting here going, oh my days, you've signed a world beater who's 20 years of age, who's 6'4". I could. It's happened before. Somebody just said there, Thierry wasn't that great when we signed him. And you're not wrong. I've told you the story. I was sat 2 rows in front of Thierry Henry a week and a half before he joined Arsenal. With my dad, he said, "Do you want to get his signature?" I said, "No." Thierry Henry, 2 rows behind me at Wembley. "Do you want to get his signature?" I said, "No. Don't think he's that good. He's just a quick winger from Juventus." I was fuming. We just sold Anelka. Anelka was possibly my favourite Arsenal player. I said, "We've sold Anelka to Real Madrid and we're signing this quick winger from Juventus." I said, "I don't want his signature." Turns out he's the best player we've ever seen at Arsenal and in the Premier League. But there you go. And I've never met him since. Seen him one time. He was at a distance. I couldn't get to him. So there you go. Don't always prejudge people. Should be the lesson that I learned from that. Thierry Henry, do you want to go and meet him? Get his signature? Nah, Dad, don't rate him. He's just a speed merchant. Turns out he's the GOAT of Arsenal. But you know. At the time, he wasn't that good. He was a quick winger from Juventus. I was vexed. I loved Anelka. That is what you call a clanger. That is really what you call a clanger. If I ever meet him, I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tell him that story. Big up Broads in the chat. Thierry, I don't want his signature Henry. Yeah, just a speed merchant. Carl said penalty kick goals is covering up a bad season from Saka. I mean, this Saka thing, right? I just want to say something. And I've spoke about Saka so many times on this channel. And I've gone into great detail about Saka this season and what I think. Football ultimately nowadays is production. I'll be honest, and I'm going to sound like an old man. Football ain't what it used to be in terms of entertainment. Nowhere near. And again, I might sound like an old man saying this. You watch football 15, 20 years ago, levels above this. Individual brilliance all over the place. The game now is about GA. Goals and assists if you're an attacking player. You can stink out the place at your football club. If you can produce numbers, goals and assists, you're going to have a big career. It's as simple as that. They go, "Oh yeah, but look at his stats. 28 GA this season, go and get him." That's all they're going off nowadays. The coaches, it's all stats and computers and scientists and this and that and that. Where's the next Neymar? Where's the next Ronaldinho? Where's the next R9 Ronaldo? Where are they? Where are they? Yeah, I'm doing the in my day thing. I really am. Back in my day, they're not there. There ain't a Ronaldinho. There ain't a Neymar. There ain't an R9 Ronaldo. There ain't a Thierry Henry. There's a couple, you know, you would argue Vinicius is a free spirit and Mbappe at times. But in them days, boy, you could just reel them off. Just name a country you could reel them off. France, yeah, no problem. Zidane, Thierry Henry. You know what I mean? Then there was others who were quality as well. You go to Brazil, I mean, you had Rivaldo, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Kaká. I mean, how many more do you want? Italy, Francesco Totti, Del Piero. There was magic everywhere. Everywhere you turn, there was magic. There ain't no magic nowadays. Get goals and assists, mate. Goals and assists. Look at Mo Salah. I don't want to come across disrespectful here. And any Liverpool fans in the chat, take this with calm down here when I say this. Mo Salah is one of Liverpool's greatest ever players based on goals and assists. Mo Salah, to me, is not a particularly exciting player to watch. I wouldn't pay money to go and watch Mo Salah. I just wouldn't. He's mastered what he's good at. I'm a right forward. I can get between the lines. I'll cut inside. I'll score goals. He's made an unbelievable career out of it. And football has changed. It has changed. Wingers are now like strikers. Strikers play up front by themselves. They're a lot more about link-up play than they are about scoring goals now. It is a totally different game. I could sit here for 20 minutes talking about players from back in the day. Every country had them. Rui Costa, one of my favourite players growing up. Absolutely love that guy with the low socks. Portugal, oh my days, what a player. Zinedine Zidane, 2006 in the Gold Preds against Brazil. One of the greatest performances I've ever seen in football. This guy made me look at the Brazilian players that I love sideways. This guy's flicking the ball over Ronaldinho's head. I said, nah, I'm done with football. This guy's one of the best players I've ever seen. on a next level. Ronaldinho, Bernabeu, getting applauded off by Real Madrid fans. R9 Ronaldo, hat-trick against Man United, applauded off. Different. You could go through any country. Just name a country. Argentina, Batistuta, Ortega, Riquelme. Ballers, absolute baller. JJ Okocha, ballers. Christian Vieri. Pablo Aimar, you know what I mean? Ballers. Seedorf, jeez, what a player. Edgar Davids, Bergkamp, Kluivert. We had Nike adverts. Where's the Nike adverts? They can't do Nike adverts nowadays. You know why? You know why they can't do a Nike advert in 2024? These players ain't got no skill. They can't do a Nike advert. What are they going to do? Shoot from the edge of the runway. They can't do tricks because the coach don't want to see tricks. Yo, stop, blow. No, don't do that. Pass and move. Two touches. When's the last time you saw a player get nutmegged in the Premier League? Off the top of your head. Tell me the last nutmeg you can remember. You'll have to think a long way about it. George Weah, Baggio with a pony. Different, man. Listen, the game has evolved, and I might sound like an old man doing this. There'll be youngers in the chat saying, what happened to this brother, man? Football's sick nowadays. The game's totally different. It's evolved. Pep's turned it into a keep ball masterclass. Everyone's trying to follow Pep. Tiki-taka. Goalkeeper's got a pass. Fullbacks have to invert. Wingers have got to score goals. Strikers have to be false nines and link. It's all, everyone's following the same blueprints now. Where back in the day, everyone did different things. Make football great again. Oh, Pirlo. Oh, my. Listen, I could sit here for 3 hours just talking about these old school players. Pirlo just chipping penalties against England. Like, yo, sit down, Joe Hart. Davor Suker, he actually played for Arsenal, didn't he? Rivaldo, I mean, listen, I know I've gone way off topic here, and apologies. If you're watching on playback, you're thinking, what the hell's going on here? But the game's totally changed. The game has totally changed. It's an athlete's game now. It really is. Just put up stats, you'll make it. I think Arsenal needs 2 quality players in each position to win, to beat City, especially in attack. We need options. It's crazy because, well, City have actually overtaken us now as top scorers. They got 93, we got 89. And I'm sure we'll score a couple against Everton. But I think our attack needs to improve. I don't think Arsenal have what I would call a killer in the front line. I look at Haaland as a killer. And what I mean by that is you give him a good chance, he's going to punish you. There's no doubt about Haaland. Haaland gets a good chance, he will punish you. He will end the game. Killer instinct. Sanchez had killer instinct. Van Persie had killer instinct. Don't you dare let Van Persie get on that left foot. It's game over. Don't let Sanchez cut inside. It's game over. Aubameyang, through ball, game over. Do you know what I mean? And that is what I think we lack at Arsenal. I think Saka is a very good football player. I think Havertz has done well. Martinelli hasn't had a good season. I think Trossard is a good finisher, but I don't think we have that. I don't think we have that player that scares the opposition. I don't think we have that. And that's what I think we need to add in the summer. There aren't many players who actually are like that. That's the problem. You're hoping that maybe 1 or 2 of the players at Arsenal become those killers, you know. I was hoping Martinelli would, but Mboma said RVP goal v Charlton, I was there. I mean, bro, man's doing kung fu kicks, putting it top corner. It was different. Haaland ends the stream. He does. He locks it off. I don't think Mbappe is a killer, says Rooftop. I mean, I don't know about that, bro. Man scored a hat-trick in the World Cup final. But listen, football's opinions. Pulisic has double Leao's numbers. A lot of people like Leao. I like Leao, but I wonder, is Leao a bit of a YouTube merchant? You know, certain players, you watch them on YouTube, you go, oh, this guy's unbelievable. He's rapid. He scores great goals, got wavy celebrations. But I've spoken to a few AC Milan fans, and they've said, listen, man, this guy turns up once a month. Like, he's not consistent. I mean, again, I don't want to judge him based off his numbers purely, but Leao, what's he done this season? 8 goals. in 32 games. He did get 15 last season, but 120 million release clause, man. I don't know about Leao, you know. He's an exciting player. He's a bit of a FIFA and YouTube merchant, you know. You watch him on YouTube, he looks like a world beater. But I don't know if he turns up every week. He has got a high ceiling, though. He has. But listen, in terms of Sesko, Arteta is a big fan of Benjamin Sesko and has communicated to the Arsenal board that he wants him as a priority, with the club deciding not to prioritise other options such as Victor Gyökeres and Alexander Isak. I have to admit, that report disappoints me, because I think when you're in the position we're in, you don't need to cut a corner. The problem we've got here, and I knew this was going to be the problem with Arsenal, we're all happy that Havertz has done well in the second half of the season, but it will actually stop us spending 100 million on a striker this summer. It will. And it used to happen with Arsene Wenger. You know, Danny Welbeck would hit a hot streak, and all of a sudden Wenger didn't want to sign a top player. Because somebody had finished the season well, or Giroud had done well. I think Arteta would have sat there and said, Havertz can score 20 goals if he plays up front. He's got 12. He might score again at the weekend. If he ends with 13, 14 goals in what has realistically been half a season up front, he is going to project him as a 20-goal-a-season striker. That's what I think he's going to do. So if he believes Havertz can score 20 goals and be the main striker, he is not going to spend 85 million on Gyökeres or 100 million on Isak. He's going to keep the Kroenkes happy and say, look, I can get Sesko, 43 million release clause. He's on like 30 grand a week. He's 20. He's not going to complain sitting on the bench. And it's a different option because he's 6'4", so we can put crosses in the box. And that's what happens with Arsenal sometimes. Somebody does well, you think, wow, that's great. But then you go, oh, we're not buying him because he's done well. And you go, damn. It's like a double-edged sword, isn't it? So, listen, it is what it is. I've kind of accepted it. I never thought we were going to sign Ivan Toney. I think Osimhen goes to PSG. Gyökeres, maybe they think it's a risk because one season in Portugal, 85 million. Maybe they think that's too risky. Isak would cost at least 100 million, and maybe they just don't think he's worth it. I don't know. I did say there was no excuse this summer because there's 4 or 5 strikers available. Sesko was the one I was least enthused about, but I hope he comes in and proves me wrong if it happens. You know, I really do. He is different. There are some of you in the comments saying he's good, he's tall, he's technically very good, he's a diamond in the rough. I just don't know if that... Every signing that we make now, my question is, does that signing bring us closer to Manchester City? That's my question. That's all I'm interested in. I'm not interested in this guy's going to be good in 2 years. My question is, does this player get us closer to Manchester City? And that will be my question with every signing we make this summer. Fitz said, Sesko tells you all about Arteta's ambition. Fitz not happy with that. Oliver said, I'm so glad I grew up on proper football. So am I, man. So am I, bro. Brian said, Arteta needs... Oh, no, I read that one. He said, I get where you're coming from with individual skill, but does anything matter more than putting the ball in the back of the net? And I get you. It doesn't really, does it? It really doesn't. You don't have to be the most skillful and entertaining if you do your job. Simple as that. Which is why I'm saying I think we need a striker that just lives and breathes putting the ball in the back of the net. And also, another thing I want to say here. Cole said earlier about Saka, and I just want to go back to what you were referring to about Saka. Now, Saka and Martinelli are in their early 20s, right? Saka's 22. I think Martinelli's 22 as well. They're 22 and 22. They're still relatively inexperienced. If I'm a 22-year-old winger playing for one of the biggest clubs in world football, which Arsenal are, despite what people say, I would love it if we had a striker that, you know what, if I have an average game, that striker pulls us out of the hole and wins us the game. That's what I think Arsenal need now. I think they need a striker that says, look, Martinelli, you're 22. Saka, you're 22. You're still learning. You're still inconsistent. You're being doubled up on now. You're going to have days where it doesn't quite work. I'm the big boy striker. Give me the ball, I'll win you the game. Because that's what I do. I live and breathe scoring goals. I'll win you the game. And that's what I think Arsenal need to do this season. Take some of the pressure off Saka. Everyone who plays against Arsenal now knows double up on Saka. You know why? No disrespect, but they're not scared to go 1v1 versus Havertz. Havertz drops deep a lot anyway. They know that Martinelli's isolated on the left. You've got no midfielder running past him. You've got no left back overlapping him. So then we become predictable and easy to play against. How would you play against Arsenal? Double up on Saka, lock him down. Go 1v1 against Havertz. Get close to Martinelli. Don't give him space to run into. He's going to struggle. Quite easy to manage, in my opinion. Quite easy to manage. Now, Carl was talking about Saka. And I didn't finish what I was going to say about Saka. Saka, for me, and a lot of people will disagree with this, I think Saka has had a very, very good season. And a lot of people will disagree with that. And I get it. And I've been very critical of Saka this season. So you might think I'm contradicting myself with what I'm saying here. Do you know why I think Saka's had a very, very good season? Last season was probably the season where he really blew up as a player. 14 goals, 11 assists. He was brilliant. This season, I don't actually think his performance level has been as good as last season, but he's found a way. He's found a way to make it happen this season. If he's had a poor season and he's got 16 goals and 9 assists as a 22-year-old right winger with no real competition, which is a bad thing, but a lot of pressure on his shoulders, then I would say, as a player, Bakayo, you're moving in the right direction because you're producing. And like a lot of people said in the comments, the game now is about numbers. This is his biggest ever season without even playing at his best and with no real rotation. He doesn't come off in games when he looks like he needs to come off. That's down to the manager. If I'm Saka, I'm sitting here at the end of the season, I'm saying, listen, do you know what? I didn't play as well as I did last season, but I've produced. When this season finishes and we go, yo, how come we didn't quite win the league or the Champions League? Saka can really stand there and say, yo, I can hold my head up. I can hold my head up, bro, because I'm top goal scorer. I've got 16 goals. I've got 9 assists. I've played 35 games out of 37. I've been kicked around more than anybody else in this team, but I get up. I've got no competition. I've got no rotation. I don't get rested. I go in the England squad and I play both games right wing. The guy's learning. I would say this was Saka's clutch moment season. Last season was his performance season. That was his best performance season. This season has been his clutch season. You haven't played as well, but you've produced. You've produced. So I give him a lot of credit. I think we need to look at Martinelli before we look at Saka. Because Martinelli's fallen off a cliff this year in terms of performance level. And I'll be honest, I've sat here for the past 2 years saying, do you know what? I think Martinelli's ceiling's higher than Saka's. Right now, I have to retract that comment. I have to retract that comment. Because Martinelli, as Roscoe said, Martinelli hasn't played well this year and he hasn't been able to find a way. That's the problem with Martinelli this season. When Martinelli has a bad game, it's like get him off the pitch bad. Saka can have a bad game and still score. Saka can have a bad game and still score. And I don't mind that. You have to add different dimensions to your game. You have to add different dimensions to your game. So I have to give Saka a lot of credit. I think he needs more help. If you look at the best teams who have had a lot of success, they build partnerships in their team. When Liverpool lifted the Champions League, You knew Mane, Salah, Firmino. You knew it was a serious problem when you played against that front three. And they played and they built chemistry and they got better and better and they went from strength to strength. Arsenal this season have had no chemistry in their front line because every week we don't know who's going to play. We don't know who's going to play. Who's going to be on the left? It could be Martinelli. It could be Trossard. It could be Jesus. Who's going to play up front? Start of the season, he was throwing Nketiah in. We've played Trossard. We've played Havertz. We've played Jesus. 4 different players. The only constant in this team has been Bukayo Saka. You've got to give him credit for this season. And I'm with all of you. Saka this season hasn't been as good as last season. The club have given him a situation that isn't healthy for his development. They've said, no matter how bad you play, you're going to start the next game. That is a negative situation for a 22-year-old at a big football club. Saka should be playing on edge. Yo, look who's on the bench. If I don't play well today, I'm dropped next week. Martinelli's on edge. Trossard will come in. Saka's not on edge. Saka can have 5 bad games. He'll start the 6th game. So I think we have to appreciate Saka. I know there's frustration with Saka because he definitely hasn't played as well as last season. We've also got to look here and say, man's the top scorer. I think there's other players who we can look at and say, yo, you need to step your game up more than Saka does, to be honest. But you've got to give him competition. You really do. You can't allow him to just be able to play badly and start every week. Brian said, I get where you're coming from with individual skill, but does anything matter? No, I've read that one, and I agree with you. It is about scoring goals, but I feel like players back in the day were scoring goals and entertaining as well. Do you know what I mean? Talent is nice, but Wilshere, Norwich goal, magical. You can do magic playing this way too. Referee cost us the title. Newcastle, West Ham goal, City are lucky. I always think when something goes wrong in life, not just in football, look in the mirror first, see what you could have done better. If there's nothing you could have done better, then look at the circumstances. To me, the referee is the circumstances. I would blame Arsenal before I blame the referee. 100%. I'm looking at Thomas Partey playing right back against Fulham and Gabriel on the bench. I'm looking at Eddie Nketiah playing 90 minutes away to Fulham with Havertz in midfield and we lose that game. I'm looking at Aston Villa's Zinchenko at left back against Leon Bailey with Partey and Tomiyasu on the bench and Havertz in midfield. I'm looking at that before I'm blaming a referee. I get you, yeah, referees are not great. We know what it is in the Prem. But we have to take responsibility before we blame the ref. Big up Matt Southern Gooner. If we don't put a trophy in the cabinet soon, Saka will roll out 100%. Saka, Saliba, these guys were a year or so away from a problem. Big problem. Those guys signed 4-year deals to give themselves an escape clause after 2 years because those two are so costly to Arsenal. I don't think they would allow those two to go to the final year. If Saliba said with 2 years left, I want to leave, and Madrid wanted him, I think Arsenal would sell him because he's so valuable to the club. I think the Kroenkes would say cash in on him. You can't allow these guys to keep going to international duty and go, oh, what did you win? Oh, yeah, Foden, I've just won the double. I've won the treble. I've won PFA Player of the Year. What have you won? Oh, I won the Florida Cup. Well, that ain't going to cut it, is it? Might cut it for the first few years because he's an Arsenal fan, but after time, we've seen it. Fabregas and these guys walk out the door. So we got to win. Success will keep them there. Jude said Arteta's experiment on the left has killed Martinelli. It definitely hasn't helped him. And Gunnar Roller said, Curtis, check out Rooney's comments on Saka. Spot on, detailed analysis from a legend. Our fans need to stop feeding into the banter narratives. I'll watch that, actually. I like Rooney. He knows what he's talking about. Met him before as well. Good guy, was he? Anyway, a few other bits to talk about, and we'll finish off with the waffle. James Green on Sky, he said, it is my understanding that Aaron Ramsdale has agreed to join Newcastle in the summer. That has come directly from speaking to somebody who I'm very close with, who has spoken to his agent and said it's a done deal. The deal is happening. I think this deal will happen, by the way. And I think it's a good move for him. I think it's a very good move for him. Do I feel for him? I do and I don't. I kind of don't at the same time, because I always say at the end of the day, the circumstances that Ramsdale is leaving the club is the same circumstances that he joined the club. And nobody felt sorry for Leno. So why should I really... And I hope that doesn't sound really harsh. He's paid well. I think Newcastle's a brilliant move for him. They may be in Europe next year. It's a big club, a lot of money. It seems as if, I mean, a lot of people saying Nick Pope. I mean, it looks as if he wants to get Pope on the bench. My question, the only question I want to know is how much money. Simple as that. Newcastle have the richest owners in football, but they can't just pump money into the club, and we know Newcastle have issues. My first question would be, can you do a player plus cash deal for Isak? If not, can you do player plus cash for Bruno Guimaraes? And then if not, how much money are you going to get? I'll be honest, we paid 35 for him. We shouldn't get a penny less than what we paid for him. I would like to think we could get 40 to 50 million for him. However, it's Edu doing the deal, and, you know, we know how he operates. I think Arsenal will probably get similar to what they paid. I don't think we'll get much more than 35 million, maybe 40 at a push. I just think the fact he sat on the bench for the whole season, everyone in the world can see that he's going to want to leave. I mean, yeah, Ross, listen, when I say English tax, that only applies to players potentially joining Arsenal or going somewhere else. If Arsenal are selling someone, English tax goes out the window, bro. We'll probably sell him for 20 million, but nah, I think about 35, 40 million is the most we'll get. Yeah, if Chelsea were selling him or Liverpool, they get 40, 50 million for him, but as you've seen, we're not great at selling, but I would love to turn around and say, listen, we'll give you 60 million plus Ramsdale for Isak. Or we'll give you 35, 40 million plus Ramsdale for Bruno Guimaraes. I think that would be quite smart, but are Arsenal gonna move like that? I'm not so sure. But it'd be nice to see. I want to see Arsenal get ruthless in the market this year. Stop being nice. You know, when Liverpool signed Van Dijk, and I'm not saying this is what I want Arsenal to do, but Liverpool got done for tapping him up. There was an illegal approach. Southampton were trying to take them to court. 3 months later, he joined Liverpool. There was nothing they could do about it. Oh, but Van Dijk's not for sale. Southampton said he's not for sale and he's got years left on his deal. That didn't mean nothing. Having a long time left on your contract just means they're going to have to pay more money for you. That's all it means. You're going to have to pay more money. And that's how I want to see Arsenal move. If Arsenal want Isak, I don't care if Isak's got 4 years left on his deal. I don't care if Newcastle's owner's rich. You move to him and say, listen, we want you to come to Arsenal. We're going to double your wages. You're going to play Champions League. You're having the number 14 shirt. You live in London and your profile is going to go through the roof. You think he's going to say no to that? I just don't think he says no to that. He strikes me as an ambitious player. I think he takes that move all day long. And then obviously you've got to go to Newcastle and break the bank, you know, and that's the reality of the situation. I remember when Ferguson signed Berbatov, he said Berbatov isn't for sale, I made him for sale. He dragged him out of Tottenham, forced him to go crazy and demand that he left. Unknown C said, no disrespect to Edu. Oh, where's that comment gone? No disrespect, but we need an Edu upgrade. Our player sales have been atrocious for years. Arteta also has to play the game better with the PR. I think it's interesting, isn't it, that we kind of judge them all as a collective, but sometimes you have to sort of break it down into individual sections and say, is Edu doing his job properly? Why do so many players keep leaving this club for free or for lower than they're probably valued at? And that isn't down to Arteta. He has no say in how much a player is sold for. How come Aubameyang left for free? In fact, we paid him to leave. You're high-fiving Richard Garlick. How come Ozil left for free? How come Socrates left for free? Cedric, El Neni, Ramsey. How come all these guys leaving the club for free? Do you know what I mean? He's got to be more ruthless. I think in that position at a football club, you've got to have relationships with clubs and agents. I think you need to be experienced in that role. So when you ring someone, you say, listen, mate, come on, we're friends. You can't do that to me. I need 10 million for Aubameyang from Barcelona. Socrates to Olympiacos. Yo, I need a little 3 million just as a common courtesy. You know what I mean? Show some courtesy, Curtis. You know what I mean? That's what they need. They need to show some courtesy. When Edu rings up, they're like, bro, you're a BTEC travel agent. You ain't getting no money out of us. Give him us for free or you're not getting nothing. And that's how they're moving. That's it. That's how they're moving. E. Ross said, Curtis, I'm worried we will still have our loan players back. I mean, obviously, we've got Charlie Patino, Sambi Lakonga, Nuno Tavares. They're all coming back from loans. We swapped Alexis, for Mkhitaryan, and Mkhitaryan was a disaster. But anyway, camera on settings. What a song, by the way. Show some courtesy, Curtis. Right, waffle settings, people. Damn, am I even ready for this? It's the last pre-match waffle settings of the season. I'm kind of glad. It's almost put me to sleep a number of times this season. But before we do, Mickey Rose, the boss. Rose, that's my nickname. Are we 48 hours away from winning the Premier League? In fact, just over 48 hours. It's 4:30 kickoff. Are we 50 hours away from becoming champions of the Premier League? Crazy thing is, right, 99% sure that this weekend won't go in our favour. Right, I'll be honest. You wouldn't put your money on West Ham getting a draw against City. You just wouldn't. Well, it's not impossible. West Ham are a decent team. They beat us at the Emirates. It was a very lucky win. We dominated and somehow lost the game. I don't expect it to happen. I just don't. When has Pep ever fumbled a title at home against West Ham? I don't see any way, shape or form it can happen. Unless a referee decides he wants to be the hero and somebody gets sent off. You know, you need a dodgy red card. But we will be watching on split screen, people. That is for sure. But let's hear what Arteta had to say ahead of the game. On how his nerves might be this weekend. It's one of the biggest weekends for many of us. Certainly now is the most important. He said, I'm really excited. I'm hoping by the time the game comes around, there's a bit of excitement. But I feel flat going into this weekend. I'll be honest with you. What happened at Tottenham midweek, psychologically, I said as a coping mechanism, I will be going into this weekend just saying it's done. And if we get an unbelievable miracle, I will embrace it shamelessly. But to protect myself, I'm already in pre-season mode. I'm looking for holidays. I'm switching off. I will do the watch along. I'll be a lot more calm. It's a protective mechanism that we all need. Nyamin Waffles sipping syrup for that title victory. Hope the toffees ain't sticky on that Coman music. Big up Elliot Roberts. Big up Static in the chat as well. And big up everyone locked in, man. It's been a great season for the community, that's for sure. I just wish, man, I'd have even taken an FA Cup final. I just wish we were fighting for silverware somewhere. But listen, who knows what will happen over the weekend. Young Gunner said, kick the door down, take Isak and Guan, no games. Trust me, bro, no, mate. You think Isak wouldn't want to come to Arsenal? Come on. He would be all over that Arsenal move. I've got no doubt about it. And whether he's had to lift the players after City's win on Tuesday, he said the hope was there. It didn't happen. Now we have to do our job. Everton are in a really good moment. Then we have to wish for the best and for West Ham to have a good day. Interesting. Moyes, his former manager, and Pep, the guy that he worked with. Has he spoken to Moyes? He said, no, I don't think we need to do that. He's been instrumental and so important in my career. He genuinely talks about Moyes like he's the most instrumental manager in his career. He's got a lot of respect for him. On the players keeping up with City v West Ham, the only thing that we have discussed is giving ourselves the opportunity. And if we don't win the league, what he'll be most proud of. He said, I can't think like that. I just think we are going to win the game and hopefully something beautiful is going to happen. On if he senses excitement around the squad, he said, I do. Around the building, we are in the last day of the season playing for the Premier League trophy. Hasn't been at the Emirates Stadium, and that was almost 20 years ago. I was told, and I don't know how true this is, but it sounds right. I was told that the Premier League trophy will be at the Emirates on Sunday. Obviously, there will be one at the Etihad, but I was told that they need to have a Premier League trophy at both grounds in case something happens. And apparently there's an Invincibles parade going off. So a lot of the Invincibles are going to be there. So, they're going to have the Premier League trophy inside the stadium. It's just crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. Yeah, the medals. They're going to have to bring medals and the trophy to the stadium. And they could just be there for show. I mean, Sunday could be absolutely... I don't think it's going to happen, but, we're going to have a little dream. Sunday could be one of the best days ever as an Arsenal fan. But it should have been. It really should have been if we'd have beaten if we'd have beaten West Ham, but if we'd have beaten Villa. Shafe said, Curtis, we need a centre mid more than a striker. A lot of people think that. I'm not in agreement with that, but I do get the thinking behind it. It's a tease. Maybe that will motivate the players for next season. One thing I want to say, and you're bang on there, Unknown C, bro. This, if it works and by some miracle we win it, it's unbelievable beyond belief. If we don't win it, man, them players are going to be hurt. They need to learn from it. And I think, last season will have hurt them and they have improved. But the club have to start being ruthless now, from the top to the bottom. They really do. They need to go big in the summer and show that they want to win this league. On no team ever overhauling the Premier League leaders on the final day, said that's not going to change, you mean? It's a probability. If something happens, then it's more probable something else can happen. On Man City wobbling on the final day, said it's difficult to beat any opponent when something is at stake. The task more difficult. On many saying City have one hand on the title, he said, we all know they are a little bit closer. That's one game less and they have to play at home. They're going to be playing a tough opponent. We have suffered this season and over the last seasons. It's really tough to beat them. Has he spoken to Pep? He said no. If he thinks City will lose, he said lose or draw, this is what we need. How they can be impossible to stop. He said, if I don't believe that today, imagine how I couldn't believe it in August. From August, 38 games against City, what they've done in the last 20 years with what we've done in the last 20. We'd have had zero chance. We cannot start like this. We have to believe. On former clubs, Man City and Everton, plus Moyes being involved in our fate. So that's the beauty of this industry. You come across people you had experience with. On if the season has been a success, he said, yes, but we are here to win. That's my aim, the only thing I'm thinking of. On next month's vote on abolishing VAR, he said, I haven't been part of those meetings. I want to have a meeting with the club next week. Personally, I don't think they'll get rid of VAR. I think they'll keep it. I suppose you would say VAR is not the problem. It's the people using VAR. I mean, if they can't improve it, I think they should get rid of it, but they need to learn to use it properly. It takes too long in this country as well to get the decision. Why would Arteta speak to Pep? A silly question. Typical press conference. Have you spoke to Pep? Yeah, I have, mate. He said he's going to win on the weekend. I said, no, you're not. Like, the questions are ridiculous. On if he can complain about Tottenham's application against City. He said, no, you can never complain about an opponent. I can complain about what we haven't done to have 91, 93 or 95 points. Exactly what... if I tweeted that, people would be in tears on Twitter. How could you say that? We've improved. We've broken records. Man City are a juggernaut. When Arteta says it, everything's fine, right? Same thing I said. People said, 89 points, incredible. I said, nah, it's not. You need 90 points plus to win the title. The average points total for the past 10 years to win the Premier League is 91 points. Get with the programme. You got to do what it takes. We cannot sit here year after year saying, poor Arsenal, we cannot compete with Pep and Man City. That gets you nowhere. Understand it's going to take 91 points to win the Premier League. Figure out how you get to 91 points. You win on Sunday, you get to 89. That tells me you're very close to winning the league, but you're not quite there. How do you get to winning the Premier League? Do you need a top quality centre mid? Do you need a top quality striker? Do you need another left back? And go and buy it and then come back next season and lick down everything and win it. No more talking. That's where I'm at with it, people. That's where I'm at with it. So, yeah, he's speaking my language there, but I tweet that. They'll cry about it. They will cry about it. People act like the Premier League hasn't constantly had a juggernaut. Constantly. Ferguson and Man United, they had the Premier League on smash. Wenger turned up French connection. Start smashing the league up. Mourinho turned up. Start mashing up everything, winning titles. United got it back and wrestled it a few times with Chelsea. Then City turned up. Money bags. Bang. Take that off you. Leicester nicked one of them. Chelsea won another one. Liverpool got their one. It happened. Like, what are we doing? There's always been juggernauts in the Prem. Mourinho, you couldn't get a goal against that Chelsea team. Ferguson used to rip you apart on the counter-attack. Giggs, Beckham, Cole York. Then he had Van Nistelrooy and Ronaldo and Tevez. There's always been a juggernaut in the Premier League. So this is nothing new. You got to get with it. That's it. That's all we got to do. And if someone will be monitoring the City score, he said, I think 60,000 people, all the staff and the coaches, plus their families. Yeah, of course, he will find out the score. On how it will impact the atmosphere, he said it will be different. I lived it as a player. You have to focus on what you have to do. On if he plans to discuss his contract with the club this summer, he said that's something that after the season or whenever the time is right, we will talk and sit down. He has a year left. I think he'll get a new deal. And if it's important to get that done early, he said what's important is to win and keep believing. And if Sunday will change his feelings going ahead, I said, no, I think everything is relevant. I think whatever happens will be emotional on the day, so it's not the right moment to bring any conclusions. On Man City's 115 charges not being resolved, he said that's something for the authorities to manage. On where his thought process comes from about wanting to improve. He said, I need a few weeks before I answer that question. I think in pre-season will be a better time to do that. I mean, the fact he's saying pre-season tells you he's going to be at the club next season. So I'm pretty sure he will extend his contract. Static said, facts, Curtis, 90 points minimum, over 90 points. I mean, Liverpool got 97 points, didn't win the league. We think we've been hard done by. They hit record-breaking numbers and didn't win the title. So we have to understand what we got to do. And when he felt the belief that this moment was possible, I think it's something that's happened gradually. You see the signs. We have a lot of stability from the ownership and the board. And you start to make clear decisions. You get excited. It's in the building. You have to get better. One gets better. It's like a snowball. And if there was a moment he sensed the change, he said it was probably last season when you see yourself, especially in the first part of the season, you take off and you're playing the way you are, you can reach that level. On his confidence in the team to keep challenging, I think that assessment has to be done after this season and understand where we are. Then you have to look at the picture. How important it is to do business early in the summer? He said that's the ideal scenario every club wants. Players want that. Coaches want that. When you do that, something clicks. Final question of the pre-game press conference waffle of the season on if he is speaking to the board about not resting on our laurels. It's something we all know. Given the choice, it's clear we all want to do. It's not the manager nor the coach. And that sums up waffle settings for the season. I'm half asleep. My eyelids feel like bricks. And let's look ahead to the game. Arsenal against Everton, which, by the way, Everton are in a decent run of form at the moment. But can you imagine if Man City dropped points and we dropped points? I think I would delete the channel. Or I would turn it into a full-time NBA channel and just lock it off. That would be so Arsenal, wouldn't it? West Ham go and get a point against Man City and we draw with Everton. Can you imagine? Listen, final game of the season. Both teams have 5 wins out of 5. We've kicked into gear with the informed teams. 7 points clear of Liverpool for Arsenal. 9 points clear Man City. It's... I suppose it's a case of... listen, I would describe this season as progress, but not success, if we don't win the league. There's no doubt we've progressed this season. I'm not oblivious to what Arsenal have done this season just because I'm not fully convinced by the manager. I'm not. I have to give them credit. They will score against Everton, I believe. That will get us to 90 goals in a season. That is remarkable numbers. 28 goals conceded. Hopefully we keep another clean sheet. We're going to finish, no doubt, with the defensive, the best defense in the league this season. That is amazing. When you think about over the years where we've been absolutely battered, especially under Arsene Wenger, where we were getting slapped up by teams. Mourinho always said defences win your titles, and he's built that defence. And when you think we haven't had the left back, Just imagine if Timber was in that back four this season, it could have been even better. So again, huge credit. I'm not here to discredit Mikel Artea. People think I'm here to discredit him. I'm not. I want him to win the league on Sunday. I want to eat humble pie. I said I will eat waffles, ASMR, on the stream. If he wins us the title, I want him to be successful. But he's got to learn to get us over that finish line. He has to learn to get us over that finish line. That is the difference between a good manager and a great manager, is what they win. It's what they win and what they can, keep winning. You name any of the best managers in world football right now, you put those managers in that bracket because you go, look what Ancelotti's won. Look what Pep's won. Look what Klopp's won. Look, Simeone. You judge them off their trophies. Now, I know it's Arteta's first job, and I know he's up against Pep, and it is not difficult. I never said it was going to be. But he has to figure out how to get over that finish line. And for me, don't dismiss the 2 domestic cups. Because I think finishing second and winning an FA Cup, although I wouldn't be singing and dancing from the rooftops, I would still look at that as a building block and say, you've won another trophy. You go into the Community Shield, you learn how to win. I know we won the Community Shield last year, but we were kind of in it by default because City won the FA Cup and the league and they gave it to second place. So it's almost like it's supposed to be the FA Cup winners against the Premier League winners. We was in it because we came second in the Prem. It almost felt like we weren't even meant to be there in the Community Shield. So I need to see a ruthless nature from this football club in the summer. I really do. That for me means you get rid of Eddie and Ketty, or you get rid of Ramsdale if he doesn't want to stay. You release Cedric and El Neni. You get rid of Lokonga, Nuno Tavares. Patino goes if he needs to go. You look at Fabio Vieira, Zinchenko, Jesus, Smith Rowe. If you get big offers for any of them, I think you accept it, even though I like some of them players. And you bring in top quality players. Declan Rice has been an absolute game changer for our midfield. And that signing should enthuse the club that we can spend big money. We need 2 Declan Rice style players going into this team next season, maybe even 3. You need 2 of them. Now, Timber might be one of them. Timber could go in at left back and be a game changer for our back four. And then you need to go and sign, for me, a striker that changes the dynamics of this team and a centre midfielder. Because even though I've hyped up Thomas Partey over the last few weeks, I still don't think Thomas Partey can be the starting midfielder next to Declan Rice this season. I don't believe he's got 38 games in him. So you need to go and sign a centre mid that's younger, more energetic, less injury prone, who can build that partnership with Declan Rice. So Timber, a striker and a midfielder, those 3 go into the team. Maybe a left winger to put pressure on those guys. And then you need a couple of good squad players. And then we go. It shouldn't be a difficult summer for Arsenal. But you've got to get the right players in. I want to ask you all now, do you believe there's any possibility Man City drop points? Like, have you got any hope? I mean, West Ham, where are West Ham even in the league? West Ham are 9th. The disappointing thing is West Ham actually don't have anything to play for. Even if they win, they can't get Europe. 7th is the Conference League. They can't even get 8th place. They've won 1 of their last 5. Conceded 71 goals this season. They have scored 59. They've got a goal in them, but they concede goals. And against Man City at the Etihad, I mean, probably 1%. Probably 1%. I mean, they're not a bad team. If it was at West Ham, I would genuinely have some confidence. It's because it's at the Etihad. I've seen West Ham at home with Antonio and Bowen. They can bully you sometimes, but away from home is why I'm so doubtful. But we will be there. Split screen. We'll look at Mikel Antonio, Yardman settings. Antonio on his podcast said this week they're going to get a result. But, he's probably saying that for content, isn't he? But we'll see, people. We will see. I want to say a big thank you to you all on the channel for supporting the channel this season. It's been great. I've got quite a busy day today, so lots more content to come. 5 o'clock, I will be on Bleacher Report again, previewing this weekend. Premier League roundup of the final weekend of the season. The link is in the description below. Download the Bleacher Report app. Click on that link And I'll be on there at 5 o'clock till 5:30, previewing the whole weekend in the Premier League. And I'm on with Turkish at 6 o'clock, OG's podcast on Turkish's channel. That is at 6 o'clock. We'll be live on there for about an hour or so. We'll be talking all things Arsenal, Arteta. I'm sure we'll talk about Kendrick and Drake. So yeah, 5 o'clock, Bleacher Report, 6 o'clock, Turkish's channel. Tomorrow, I will have a pre-recorded preview out for Arsenal against Everton. Then tomorrow night, around 10:30, I will be doing Usyk against Tyson Fury, boxing watch-along. So first boxing one, tune in for that. And then on Sunday, we'll be doing the split-screen watch-along. Arsenal-Everton, Man City, West Ham. Lots of content. Big up to everyone. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Take care. And I will see you all soon, people. Bless.